Daniele De Rossi just became Roma's new manager, and ever since that happened, Roma have only gotten better. Is it fair to say he's already better than Mourinho? Obviously, we aren't talking about their entire career, but only their Roma spell. And you could argue that De Rossi has already done better than the special one. But first, let's understand more about who De Rossi is. De Rossi is a former footballer, and his abilities on the pitch were not too bad, too. He had many achievements. For example, he won the World Cup with Italy, scoring one of the penalties in the final against France. He was also a legend for the club he plays for now, Roma. In Italy, he used to be nicknamed Capitan Futuro, which translates as future captain. That's because during the 18 years he played for Roma, De Rossi was playing alongside the biggest legend of the club, Francesco Totti, who was obviously the captain. But he was also older than De Rossi, so that when Totti would have retired, De Rossi would have actually went on to be the captain. Then, in 2019, De Rossi left Roma and moved to Argentina, where he played for 1 year for Boca Juniors and then retired. After that, he decided to stay in the football world as a manager. In 2021 and 2022, he was in the staff of the Italian national team. After that, on October 11, 2022, he officially became the manager of Spal, a team playing in Italy's second tier, Series B. But it didn't really go as expected. De Rossi and his Spal side collected only 3 wins in 17 games, and so De Rossi ended up being sacked on February 14, 2023. After his spell at Spal, De Rossi took some time so that he can finally get his UEFA Pro license, which allows managers to actually manage clubs of the highest divisions in their country. In the meantime, his boyhood club Roma was clearly struggling. Mourinho on his 3rd season at Roma wasn't doing well at all. Nobody liked his defensive football philosophy, and furthermore, after a really negative start, he was also losing the support of the dressing room. That's because he would usually speak negatively about the players in interviews. He said multiple times that the level of his team wasn't good enough to compete and win trophies. But the main reason behind Mourinho's departure wasn't even related to results on the pitch. It was all about the fact that the environment created in the dressing room was totally negative. That's because the players were no longer joyous and united, and some of them started underperforming. De Rossi brought back some of the players to their best form on the team, but we'll talk about that in a few. That special aura that Mourinho created at the start of his spell at Roma just wasn't there anymore. Roma was sitting on the 9th spot in Series A tables, collecting bad results after bad results. Another thing that the board didn't like about Mourinho was that he used to always blame it on their referees, creating an us against them mentality. A change was clearly needed, and that's why around the end of January, the special one was sacked and De Rossi was appointed. At first, everybody was shocked. It's not always a smart decision to give a club legend the weight of managing a club when they are inexperienced. Just think about what Pirlo has done to Juventus. This time, it was even worse since De Rossi clearly had a bad time at Spal as we saw before. The doubts were many, but Rossi went on to silence them. At the time we were recording this video, Roma won 7 out of 10 games, playing in a very exciting way, and this is proven by the 26 goals scored across all these games. But what were the changes between his management and Mourinho's that allowed Roma to have such massive improvements? First of all, let's analyze the tactical aspect. De Rossi switched from Mourinho's 3-5-2 to an offensive 4-3-3, allowing a team filled with many offensive players to finally use all their attacking skills with freedom. Just a few minutes ago, we talked about players being reborn under De Rossi. An example for that? The captain Lorenzo Pellegrini. He was doing amazing when Mourinho first joined, but ever since Dybala was signed by Roma, he had to move to a less offensive position, and there, he stopped performing like he used to. This season, Pellegrini had scored 3 goals and got 1 assist while playing under Mourinho. Ever since De Rossi joined, he scored 5 goals and got 3 assists in only 10 games. But he's not the only reborn player. Paredes has been doing great too. Same goes for Selic. Svelar, who used to be Rui Patricio's backup, has finally started playing regularly, and he's been doing amazing. He was crucial in the penalty shootouts against Feyenoord. Even big players like Lukaku were underperforming, but started scoring again now under De Rossi. No one would have imagined Roma doing so well with De Rossi. But the secret sauce behind all of this is only one in our opinion: the positive environment that De Rossi created. Remember what we said at the start? Mourinho was sacked because the environment was depressing in the dressing room. De Rossi brought the spark back, and that's because he's always supporting and praising his players in interviews. Spreading positivity only brings positive outcomes for the team. We could mention so many moments where De Rossi praised his players. And that's not the only great thing. He also takes the blame most of the time when something doesn't go well, unlike Mourinho, who blamed it on the players or referees. De Rossi has now turned Roma into an unstoppable goal-scoring machine. Now all we have to do is see if the team is going to keep this level of form for the entire season, or not. Now, it's finally time to answer the question, is De Rossi better than Mourinho? Well, it's definitely early to say it, but if he keeps going like this, he'll definitely be better than the special one. Although it didn't really go well for Mourinho in the last season, he still made Roma play 2 European finals. Let's see how De Rossi progresses at Roma in the future.